I'm Matt, host of Beers with a Badass, where once a month we bring you a badass in hopes of giving you some sort of motivation from their personal stories. This month I'm bringing Todd Peterson, who's an experienced and awesome pilot in 160th SOAR Night Stalkers. Todd, how's it going?
Best ever.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
Absolutely, dude. Anytime. You're here quite a bit. I mean, I haven't seen you too often recently, but it's always a light seeing you in here because you're definitely an awesome dude. It's not just because of your background, but because of who you are as a person. Honestly, you support what we do, and we support you as a customer. So, give everyone a little background on who you are and where you're from.
So, I'm a 25-year Army veteran, been in the Army 25 years, obviously. Proud husband, my wife Terry, 17 years, and 2 kids. So, got a 11-year-old son and a 13-year-old daughter, and kind of navigating the process of retiring out of the Army.
Yeah. And so, how is it having a teenager?
Interesting. She's a great kid, and just trying to figure out, what teenagers are like nowadays versus the way it was when my wife and I were teenagers and were kids. So it's completely different environment and everything. She's a great kid.
Good. Yeah. Awesome, man. So give me a little background on before you joined the Army, what were you doing?
Going to school. I was a high schooler. Dad was an Air Force colonel, 26 and a half years, almost 27 years in the service, and played guns as a kid, liked to dress up and play combat stuff, but decided that after going to school about 6 months and not really going to class, drinking a lot and wake up at about 3 in the afternoon and go to bed about 3 in the morning. Decided that I want to stop wasting my money, my dad's money, and told my dad, and he's like, just give it about 6 more months and another semester and see what you want to do. I'm like, I was pretty sure that this is what I want to do.
That sounds a lot like the enlisted barracks life.
Yeah.
On the weekends, at least.
Absolutely. So I gave it another 6 months, and then summer of '93 was like, dude, I got to do something different, and decided I was going to join the Army. My dad was like, hey, look, the difference between the Air Force and the Army. And I said, I do, because we lived a long fucking time over in Europe and around the Army bases and stuff, and I wanted to jump out of airplanes and did. So I joined the Army in '93, and here I am 25 years later. Was
that like one of the pushing points for you to actually go and join the Army as opposed to joining the Air Force?
Yeah, honestly, it was the Air Force wanted 6 years, and they were going to give me like $14,750 in college fund or a GI Bill, and the Army was like 3 years, you get $25,000. I'm like, I'm not going to do this for a career, so dude, might as well. Like 25,000, 3 years, I'm sold. And here I am 25 years later, and I've only used like a quarter of that money. So
that's kind of like how I came in, and like, hey, you can do 3-4 years and you get this, and then 10 years later, and then here I am. But no, I got that. Going back to your career, like what really? Dang it! What was I thinking about? Sorry. So sorry. Going to the beer that you're drinking, 762. 762. You said it's your favorite, one of your favorite beers, at least.
Yeah, I mean, so it's named after 7.62 millimeter, which is what we fire out of our 2 different types of weapon systems out of our helicopters, and it's brought me home so many times. My flight engineers and crew chiefs have killed lots and lots of people to make sure that we come home every time and it's named after that. So 7.62 millimeter is my drink of choice.
Nice.
At the BWAB.
Good, man. I'm drinking a Little Bird, which was one of the last kegs that we had. We just put on recently. It's literally the last keg, and I'm over here finishing it off. But it's a lot better, I think, now than it was before when we first put it on.
Okay.
But cool. Aside from that, so you're retiring out. You were piloting the 160th. How was that process? How did it go?
As far as coming to 160th, so I was in the Guard. Went through flight school as a Guard guy back in like 99 time frame, but prior to that, 1998 time frame, Mike Durant, former 160th, got shot down in 1993 in Somalia, was a POW for 11 days.
And that's the same guy that was depicted in Black Hawk Down.
Black Hawk Down, yeah, okay. Mark Bowden book and the movie, amazing movie, my favorite movie.
Yeah, I think that's just about every Army person's favorite movie.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it's just a fantastic movie and very realistic. But he came out, he did kind of a nationwide tour. He came to our unit in Colorado and explained to us at an unclassified level, the various different raids that he did that led up to that day. And it was like, holy shit! It was very cool seeing the, kind of the curtain pulled back behind what it looked like to be a Night Stalker. Because I really, at that point I'm an E4 and I don't really know anything about the 160th other than the fact that I watched it on the news just prior to coming in the Army in '93, and it made me go, okay, well shit, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. And then. I went to flight school through the Guard and became a medevac guy. 9/11 happened, watched that on TV over in Bosnia.
Earlier you mentioned today that you met your wife in Bosnia, right?
Yep. Yeah, I was over there as a dust-off pilot with the 1022nd medical company or ambulance out of Wyoming, Colorado Guard. Mm-hmm. And it was super cool, because back then it was before the war, so it was like, the shit. It was a show. It was like right on, dude. We're doing something. You're actually doing your job, which is amazing.
Yeah, that was a happening action right there.
It was cool, and it met my wife over there. We bonded really well, and here we are, married 17 years later, have 2 amazing kids and a farm with 21 buttholes, and it's awesome. It's just super cool. I literally could not be happier at all. But 9/11 happened, and the war started kind of trending. It was going to happen. It was like, well, shit. I'm here. I'm in the Guard, and I've seen the Night Stalker stuff going on. I knew eventually I probably wanted to try out for the Night Stalkers, but my Guard unit wasn't going to war. Yeah. And I was like, dude, I got to do something. So I responded to a call to active duty, and in October of 2002, I went to the 3rd Army Cavalry Regiment in Fort Carson. My wife was already a company commander at Fort Carson, Colorado anyway, so my commute went down from 73 miles a day to each way to 20-something miles, and in 2003, we went to war, and in the middle of 2003, I tried out for the 160th SOAR and was accepted to fly Chinooks in the 160th and Night Stalkers.
So how tough was the process going through that? Was it pretty difficult? I mean, being part of special operations, obviously, you're expected to do a job in a certain way. You're expected to have that professionalism.
I didn't have any friends in SOF period, like in Special Operations Forces. I really didn't. So I kind of ran in super cold. I knew I wanted to do it. I wanted to give it a try. And once I got in there, I'm glad that I did, because the job satisfaction is tremendous. Pride ourselves in being quiet professionals. Even though I'm on your video cast here right now, I'm still a quiet professional. I'm not going to talk about any mission specific stuff. But supporting the customers that we support is an amazing thing. And once I got in the regiment and got through all the hoops through the process, the job satisfaction that I incur is amazing. And my love for the mission, my love for the helicopters and the dudes is tremendous, and it's almost too much. Like, I love the mission almost more than I should, because it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And sometimes, my family suffers because of how much I love what I do.
Now, how much of a challenge has it been with your family and you being in 160th, being a Night Stalker?
Oh, it's been a lot. I've seen and been part of some pretty significant operations, and while you're there, it's amazing. It is what it is. You do, but when you come back, you're still tethered to the operations overseas, downrange, right? So the guys, we rip out, we rip back in. It's very rapid, and I come back and I sit in my car that's in the parking lot, and my wife and kids are at home, and they've left me a note in the car, and it's like I've turned my weapon in. The C-17 landed 2 hours prior, and I'm in my car. I'm driving home. When 36 hours prior, I was assaulting an objective.
Yeah.
And the separation between that and being home and smiling when it comes to being at a birthday party or at a scouting event or something like that, it's hard to portray the type of emotions that you're feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a really hard process to go through all of it, because the family's like, dude, why the fuck aren't you happy? And it's like, I am happy. You just got to give me a little bit of time to catch up. It's hard, when you do this. I've got 28 deployments, 26 combat deployments, and it's hard to do that constantly 3 times a year.
Yeah.
It's really tough. And now that I'm to the end of that career, trying to find a way to stay level and try to stay invested in everything, it's a tough thing. I'm finding my way, but it's a constant process.
Yeah,
for the family members, but also for the service members as well.
No, absolutely. I can imagine. I've been somewhat in that process as well. But what's awesome is that you're able to try to focus all the energy into something else, which you mentioned earlier. You're creating a bar at home. That's your newest project. Before you go moving on, as you're transitioning, before you go moving on to your next mission.
Yeah, it's like I kind of realize I don't have a space at home that's mine, and I'm creating a bar, and I'm probably going to call it like Torch's Sunset Lounge. My wife isn't like the biggest fan of that name, but
I love it.
But like you said, I may have to wear get a velvet suit to sit in it, but it's going to be amazing. It's been very therapeutic to me to I'm not a carpenter, but to craft the bar from the ground up and do everything, and it's amazing.
Well,
it's super cool.
Even though you say you're not a carpenter, from what I've seen, the pictures you showed me, that bar looks amazing. It's an absolutely good project. Nothing but is going to come from that. So
I appreciate it. It's cool, and it's going to be awesome. And you're welcome to come. Please come down and drink.
Oh, absolutely. There's going to be many
anytime.
beers to be had over there.
Absolutely.
So that's. I'm definitely going to come over and have some beers with you for sure.
Awesome.
So. Now, the transition process, how's that been for you going into this new job that you're doing?
It's been tough, It's coming from being a flight lead in multiple airframes inside the 160th. We pride ourselves in customer support, and having a mission, and in multiple years being the guy who speaks for the regiment and speaks for our helicopters, to having no mission. Yeah. It's rough. It's fucking rough transition to being a guy. I've been in charge of 20-something helicopters, 15 fixed-wing platforms on a specific operation and objective, to where I got to figure out what the fuck we need for grocery shopping. That's my biggest thing for the week is what do we need for, how many apples do we need, and do we need spinach and chicken breast and stuff, It's a huge transition, and it got to the point where I was angry, and I was just kind of backed up, what the fuck, I don't have anything, which I do. I have an amazing family. I've got a farm. I've got all this stuff, but I'm not doing my job, you know. So, you know, my next job's coming up here in a week, but my wife's like, dude, you got to do something. You got to fucking figure it out.
Yeah.
And you know, so I end up getting back in the gym and working on the bar and all this stuff. So working out, you know, and fixing the bar and doing all this stuff has been very therapeutic for me. So as a transitioning veteran, as a transitioning guy, you have to, it's a chicken soup for the soul. It's these small victories. It's the small things that you can invest in that really have helped me. You know, everybody's different, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this has really helped me recently. You know, the physical fitness has been huge.
Now, backpedaling a little bit, being the 160th, what really drove you every morning to go out and do this job?
Dude, supporting the Ground Force Commander, 100%. Like as a 160th, that's what sets us apart from the rest of the forces out there, is the support of the Ground Force Commander. That's it. We pride ourselves here, customer support. You probably heard in the movie Black Hawk Down, but every time that I have an interface with the Ground Force Commander, I make a covenant with that guy saying, I will do this. At that point, once we depart the base, it's a guarantee. I guarantee that I will get his forces in. I guarantee I'll get his forces out. And I'll achieve his Ground Force Commander's intent. Period. At the end. Like, and I make that, and not just with the Ground Force Commander, right? So the Army is a big thing, right? So we've got support, service support, combat service support, and the maneuver elements in here, right? The Ground Force Commander, that fucking that company commander, a major, that's Ground Force Commander, says, I want to do this. I want to get these effects on this enemy at this point, right? So at that point, my job is to support his intent, right? So outside of that, everybody else in the whole Army, his job is to support that fucking guy. Boom. He says, I want to do this. To this house, to these guys in this house, boom. Then everybody else is supporting that guy.
So anyone else trying to do this job in the future, or trying to do something similar, or in terms of being in that mindset as well, what kind of advice could you offer them?
Advice is just, you got to be selfless. It's all about selfless service, man. It's selfless service to the Ground Force Commander, right? Your family can suffer. Your personal time can suffer. You're not going to get as many likes on Instagram and Facebook and shit, you know? But it's selfless service. Quiet professional, right? You know, we are a country of almost 300 million people, right? We're undermanned in all the critical military specialties out there.
100%.
Across the fucking board, right? So out of 300 million people, there ought to be enough people to man the black helicopters, to man the special operations forces, the platoons, the squadrons, the teams, you know, all those things, right? It's selfless service to the flag, to the mission, to the Ground Force Commander. That's it. You know, if you think you might be good enough as an operator, as an aviator, as a boat guy, as anything else, man, fucking move out and get it done. That's it, man. The country will be better for you doing it, right? But you sitting on your couch and thinking maybe I'm good enough, maybe I'm not, whatever, get the fuck off the couch and go do it. That's it. The country is going to be a better place if you get the fuck off the couch and go prosecute and go try. Go give it a try. Serve your community. And that's why, as I retire, I found that I need to do something. And that's why I'm going to fly for the state, doing wildfire stuff. You know, I found as a person, I need to do something positive and serve a greater purpose. And doing wildfire stuff is huge for me.
I definitely commend you for everything you've done, and for that, cheers to you, brother.
Cheers, Matt. Thanks, man.
And this is a beer for this badass.
Right on.